Hey everyone, if you just want the tips from this video, then I'd highly recommend you check the video's description. I'll leave all the tips mentioned in point form, but I highly recommend you stay and watch the video because I think you'll learn more that way. I uploaded my first video to this channel back on Sunday, July 18th, 2021. Mainly as a response to the situation I found myself stuck in at the time. Let me explain. Back in 2021, I had just graduated high school, and my entire senior year experience was awful to say the least. I spent my entire senior year online because that's what my parents wanted, and as a minor, I had very little say in it. But after moving online, instead of getting the support I needed from the staff and administration, I found myself constantly butting heads with them. This disagreement mainly stemmed from the fact that I was often very late going to class, if I did even make it at all. Most days my training would go from 6:15 to 9:45, but classes started at 8:15, which was an hour earlier than most schools already. So it wasn't like I was missing class on purpose. This had been my schedule for more than half a decade at this point. Usually I would try to have a throwaway class first thing in the morning. But on the rare occasion where I did miss an important exam or test, I would just be able to read it afterwards. And to my knowledge, this is a pretty common practice that is shared across multiple schools. So I just assumed that's how it'd work online. But it wasn't. My social teacher wouldn't allow it because it was easier to cheat online. Today I might agree with her, but I also most certainly don't, because all of her tests were written, and having gone through the experience of university, I now know that most university tests are written online anyways. So her entire reasoning of how it would be easier to cheat and how it would prepare me better for the future was misleading at best. Eventually it got so bad that at one point I was seriously considering transferring schools midway through the semester. I had emailed back and forth about it, but talking to the administration was honestly just a waste of time. Today is October 5th, 2020, and I asked my guidance counselor a few days back if they could enroll me in ADLC program, which is an online program that's offered by the province, and her response was that they don't enroll students in the ADLC program because you only can be enrolled at one school, which is complete bullshit because I have other friends who are taking both math and social through this program. And the only reason why I want to take these programs through the ADLC program is because I'm not sure if I'll pass them doing it through the school. I'm not too worried about math, it's more about social because the teacher's on a power trip. So I went ahead and enrolled in them myself, and her reaction was I should consult the principal, and I don't know if it's a good idea to sign up for those courses. All they did was shuffle me back and forth between different staff and did almost nothing to solve the problem. I didn't end up doing it at the time, but it was weighing heavily on my mind. And all the interactions that I had with the school staff really left a sour taste in my mouth. Up until now, I had always enjoyed learning from a traditional, formal school environment, but if university was going to be similar to my high school experience, then I really didn't want to be a part of it. I couldn't bring myself to be a part of it. So after failing to get into business because of my grade 11 English grade, I made the transfer out of biomedicine and started my first year in university as an economics major. My dad was especially not happy with this decision. I don't know if it's just me, but it was also around this time when I began to realize I couldn't really remember everything that was happening to me. And what I mean by this is up until I was 16, I remember having intense emotional connections to new experiences. The tune of a song could bring me back to an exact moment in my life, conjuring up all the emotions that I had associated with that memory. But by the time I turned 18, I had almost lost all of that. I wasn't really connecting to anything anymore. Eating something new? Okay, great. There are no new memories being formed at all. The only thing that connected with me and still connects with me to this day is the financial stress that comes with being a young adult. Because I don't think that's something you ever get used to. It was just awful things all the time. Nothing was new, nothing was exciting. I felt as if I had lost a part of myself. And as bad as all of this sounds, 2020 and 2021 were actually probably the best few years of my life in terms of personal development and growth. Which brings me back to this channel. When I first started this channel, I followed everyone's advice to just hit record and upload as much as possible, paying very little to no attention to the edit or the story. I literally recorded everything and tried to upload as frequently as possible so I could grow this channel as fast as I could. But this was counterproductive. Just mindlessly hitting record teaches you absolutely nothing. And without even trying to learn the fundamentals of lighting, visual patterns, and editing, you don't have the systems in place to create a compelling or attractive video. I didn't know this at the time, nor did I really have a passion for learning this kind of stuff. So I just started, and unsurprisingly, my early YouTube videos were absolutely terrible. It was just the same thing over and over again, but they did serve the purpose of getting my feet wet. 2 weeks and 6 uploads later, my channel was going nowhere. So I decided to take a step back and observe the people who have made it on the platform. It was during this period when I stumbled across one of Ryan Nguyen's videos. And when I watched it for the first time, something immediately connected. And remember, this was during a time when those connections appeared to be diminishing to me. Have you ever had that feeling when you see something and immediately know, oh, that's the one, almost like you've gotten to that exact moment in a past life? Whether it's a person, a situation, or an object, whatever it may be, you know that that thing is going to impact your life in not just a memorable way, but in a profound way. I've had that exact feeling only twice in my life, and watching Ryan Nguyen's film was one of them. If I was going to create a video, I wanted my video to make people feel like that, but I didn't know how, and I still don't really know how. The difficult thing about storytelling is that there isn't really anyone to teach you how to do it. They can give you all the tips in the world, but the actual flow and pacing of the edit is intuitive. It takes years of practice and thinking about the story to actually get good at it. After 3 months of hiatus on the platform, this is what I came up with. It's because they wanted more. My mom told me about how she dreamed of having her own family one day. How she wished for her own kid. Obviously, it was the best video I could make at the time, but you could start to notice, or at least I could start to notice because I've edited every single video since, that I was beginning to develop my own storytelling voice by imitating those that I admired. I did this a few more times before I felt like I'd gotten an understanding for the craft. And this is when I decided to upload more frequently for a second time. It didn't go well, because those feelings were a cognitive bias known as the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's pretty much where a beginner overestimates their ability. I'd gotten better, but the reality was I was still a beginner in this space. So I took another step back and began learning from other creators again. But this time was different, because I didn't just want to learn their storytelling voice. I also want to learn how they pace out their videos. So I literally copied their script, word for word, writing down the beginning and the ending of each and every cut. By the third time I did this, I had begun to develop an intuitive feel for the edit. And that is when I decided to upload weekly. Which brings me to today. Today is July 18th, 2022, marking a full year since I've been on this platform. So what exactly did I learn from being here? Well, I have a love-hate relationship with this space because I love that satisfying feeling of finishing a video that you're proud of and sharing it with the world. But on the other hand, I hate how time-consuming it is and all the frustrations that comes with gear. My first camera was the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. I bought this camera secondhand because of the image quality it produced for its price. Its biggest selling point was the fact that I shot in Cinema DNG, which is a RAW format. What YouTubers tend to leave out when they're selling you on bigger, better, more complex gear is all the technical know-how that is associated with that workflow. You hear from other videos that shooting RAW produces amazing colors, but the reality is, if you're a newbie like I was back then, until you've shot for several months to years, you're not going to be able to appreciate that color depth. Not because you don't want to, but because you simply can't. You don't have enough experience or knowledge working with the footage to even bring out the colors that's capturing. So the resulting image is usually really flat with strange colors mixed in. Eventually, I ended up getting the Sony ZV-1, which is what majority of my videos have been shot on. If you're starting out on this platform, the Sony ZV-1 is more than enough to create stunning visual stories. I know that there are other camera manufacturers that produce point-and-shoots of the same caliber, but I don't have any experience working with them, and I got the Sony mainly because it was the cheapest one on the market at the time. I remember how exciting it was when I finally got the hang of this camera and was able to produce an image that looked like this, which is better looking than the Blackmagic Cinema camera's footage when I first started using it. Unfortunately for all the gearheads out there, the point of being on a social media platform, the point of capturing anything at all, is that you can connect with individuals. The less time I could spend worrying about gammas, color profiles, and debayering, the more time I could spend thinking about how others perceive and connect with my stories. When looking back at all of this, it was an investment on my own learning. It's the reason why learning things by yourself is often more expensive and more time-consuming than if you had a mentor. I'm lucky that in other areas of my life, I have those mentors, but here on YouTube, I'm on my own. And I'm thankful to be in a position where there are only a handful of people watching my videos as I grow and learn more about the video making space in general. I hope that in 3 years from now, I will truly have a grasp on content creation and have a channel of around 100,000 subscribers. But only time will tell. Anyways, I hope that was somewhat helpful. Love you. See you in the next one.